Hello! Welcome to episode 92 of Mouth Dancing with your host Young. Thank you so much for listening this week. I really appreciate it. I don't know if I can express that enough. If you can really understand how I feel about it. Probably not, because it's a very powerful feeling, and it's hard to express, other than to say that's how I feel, and hope that you understand. And in this holiday season, I wanted to scale it back and tone it down and relax a little bit. You know? Let's get in that holiday spirit. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas with your relatives. And hope you're looking forward to the New Year celebration. New Year celebration it's okay in my opinion. I'm not the biggest fan. But it's still a time to reflect on the past year and look forward to the new year. With that in mind, let's discuss analog versus digital. There's a lot of people who think that analog stuff is always better than digital stuff. They're real audiophiles, right? I'm talking about in terms of music. You have to have vinyl. It sounds better than anything else. It sounds better than CDs or MP3s or waves or just whatever other digital format. They think also that a tube amp is superior to one that's not a tube amp because it's more analog. And they're just real nerds about this stuff. They think if something's analog, it's automatically better than digital. The sound quality is just magical with analog stuff. But I think it's a bunch of hooey, a bunch of nonsense, and it's not true. It's like a placebo effect. It's all in your mind, man. It's like if you're on drugs and you think that you're having some amazing epiphany. You're like, oh dude, the sun is not just yellow, it's got orange in it too, bro. And that's where oranges come from, the fruit. Did you know that? It's pretty similar to that kind of thinking. And then later when you're not high anymore and you think about your amazing thought that you had, you're like, oh, that was pretty dumb actually. It wasn't an epiphany at all. It was just some high moron thinking that he's having some sort of revelation. That's what analog is. Analog actually sounds worse than digital. It has less dynamic range. There's all the scratching and hissing. I mean, it does have a bit of a softer sound. But even with digital, you can soften the sound if you want with various plugins and effects. The only thing vinyl has going for it, or analog, is just the nostalgia factor. Everything else is psychological. And it's like a multi-billion-dollar industry. People get fleeced of all their money because they spend it on a huge vinyl record collection. Because supposedly it's better than MP3s, which are like $2 or $3 each. A record, on the other hand, it's like $15-20. I mean, you could get some used records for like $1 or something. But if you want to get good quality new vinyl, it's going to cost you a lot. And it's not worth it. And then what, you gotta fill your house up with a bunch of plastic? Because supposedly has a superior sound. And yeah, I'd like to see you put that on shuffle too. You want to listen to music on shuffle? It's not going to happen with vinyl. You're going to have to make like a trip to the record player every 4 minutes or something. And then you're going to have to fumble around with a bunch of vinyl records to get the next song lined up. And then you got to have speakers. I guess you could have it hooked up to Bluetooth, maybe, Bluetooth headphones, but still not the same. It's not worth all the trouble. So take your vinyl records, which are useless, and go play frisbee with them in the park. And then on your way out of the park, throw them in the garbage can. because that's what they're worth. And also, I was thinking about the homelessness issue. Conservatives, they're just like, liberals let homelessness become a problem because they feed the drug users and they let them do drugs. They let them sleep on the street, let them poop everywhere and pee everywhere and use drugs everywhere and even, fornicate in public or even masturbate or just throw all their garbage everywhere, make tents everywhere. But the only difference is conservatives hide the problem. They sweep it under the rug. They just send the homeless people off to another city or, arrest them. But it's not really addressing the root problem, which is capitalism. Just an uneven distribution of money. Like a really, really small percentage of people have like almost all the money, and everyone else has a really, really small share of it that we're trying to split up and survive on. That's the main problem. And conservatives just address the symptoms, and liberals just kind of let it fester. Both approaches are not really addressing the root cause. So, what do we do about it? I don't know. There's not much we can do about it. You can either try to hide the problem, or just let it proliferate right in front of your face. Those are the two approaches. I guess there's maybe a middle approach, right? But most people don't want to do that because we're very polarized as a country, and that's just how we deal with things these days. Everything is about spiting the other person, right? Your opponent. So until we destroy capitalism, there's always going to be homelessness, and there's just going to be different ways of dealing with it, but not really addressing the problem. Lastly, speaking of homelessness, let's talk about the new year. It's coming up soon. And when you listen to this episode, there's just going to be a few days until the new year. Are you happy about that? For me, the new year doesn't really change much. I don't make New Year's resolutions. I just do the same thing every year in and year out. I don't say, oh, once the new year comes, I'm going to start becoming an awesome person. That doesn't work. New Year's resolutions, they say like 99% of them are just total failure by the end of January. You got to make these things habits and routines. It doesn't matter when you start. It doesn't matter if you start January 1st or March 15th. You just start now and you do it regularly. That's my advice to all of you. Start now. Don't wait for the new year. The new year doesn't mean jack shit. It really doesn't. And if you think it does, maybe you got jack shit for brains or something, I don't know. But you need to reevaluate and reassess your priorities and your values and your approach to living, because it's totally arbitrary. January 1st doesn't mean anything. It's all based on the Roman calendar. The Roman calendar is just made up. It's based on like Jesus or something like that. I don't give a shit about Jesus. He don't matter to me. Doesn't matter when he was born. It's the year 2023 supposedly, once the new year starts. But what is that based on? The year Jesus was born? Human civilizations have been around for far longer than Jesus. So it doesn't mean anything. And, we could start the year at a different point in the year as well. We could use the lunar calendar like they do in ancient East Asia, but that wouldn't mean anything either. So basically my point is just start now. Don't wait for the new year to start. And just be consistent. It's just a little lecture to end the current year and send you off into the new year. I'm just in a lecturing mood right now, and I hope you don't mind. Well, actually, I don't care if you do. because this is my podcast and you're listening to it, and that's on you. If you don't like it, turn it off. But I know you won't. That's why you've been listening this whole time. And just want to say, hope you had a Merry Christmas, and I hope you have a Happy New Year. And I love all of you. Maybe not love. I think you're pretty cool. That's about it. That sounds a little harsh, actually. Maybe I do love you. But only if you love me back. If you do, then I love you. If not, then I don't. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time. And I'll see you next year, actually. Bye.